Let's do a Houston preview here.
So I think it's important to know they're number 2 in steal percentage right now. That they are creating havoc. They're high in offensive rebounds. They create a lot of extra possessions for their team. They play really hard. They're really physical. They're really strong. They're very athletic. I don't have any clips of the offensive rebounding stuff. We know what that is. They go get the ball. Xavier is going to have to do an outstanding job on the glass to have a chance on Friday. But they're going to have to take care of the ball, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see their schemes throughout this game. The ball screen trap is something that Houston's done a lot this year, and that's how you get to number 2 in steal percentage, right? It's like there's ways to change the game and change it up. And you look at the Oakland game, they were in a zone. They were in a 2-3 a lot. They came really high with their wings. They were in a 1-3-1, it looked like at times. It was confusing. So it's like, okay, Xavier has this great flow offense that they have, and we've talked about that. They didn't run any flow offense against Oakland because they're in a zone. They tried their flow offense against a team previously.
Bryant.
Bryant. They tried the flow a little bit, but again, different. Not all zones are created equal. And they did not go with that for whatever reason, right, against Oakland. And Houston's another game where I'm not sure you're going to see the flow if Houston goes to a ball screen trap, which they've showed it more than they haven't. There's some situations this year where they have not trapped. We'll see what they end up doing. We'll show a little bit of clips of each of their strategies, but it's disruptive, and it's as simple as this. They want to push the ball to half court. And you see Houston's got 2 long athletic defenders attacking the ball in this situation. And those guys' job is to be disruptive, right? If it's 2-on-1 on the ball, it's going to be 3-on-4 on the rest of the court. And you see here Houston, okay, there's a roll man. That's called the short roll. So you come into this, you might have it hit the short. If that guy rolls all the way to the rim, it's going to be hard for the guard to find him. So he's looking to find a little gap right outside the trap to catch the ball. And now if he were to catch it, that roll man, it's a game of 4-on-3. So again, this is the chess match to this. Houston's job is to take away all the closest passes to the ball. So you'll see here in this instance, there's a guy, if I rewind it just a little bit, he's guarding the guy on the baseline. As soon as this ball screen happens, the ball screen trap hasn't even occurred. Look at him sprinting up to the roll man. That's his job. He's got the farthest pass away. He wants to take away that easy roll pass because if they get that pass, trap's defeated. Now, the 2 guys on the wings, there's a guy in the right corner. There's a guy here on the green TD arena. Yeah, their job is not to allow that easy one pass away because, again, that guy jumps up, fires a pass to the wing, trap is defeated. Now Houston's in a scramble. So what they're giving up is the pass usually farthest away, right? So that's where the ball pressure comes into play. And this is where Houston, they've been one of the best programs in America the last couple of years. Part of that is they recruit to their system as well as anybody. So they're not recruiting the Soleil Booms, the Adam Kunkles. They're recruiting long, athletic, maybe not always. They've had a lot of skill, but more physical players is probably their philosophy because they want to disrupt this pass, right? And this guy gets the pass off, but just that little bit of a lob, what it does is it allows this defender from the weak side, he flies in and gets this. And if this is like a laser pass, it might be a layup. But what Houston's banking on is you're not good enough to throw a laser to the farthest guy away from us. We don't think you're good enough to beat us in this situation. They've done this well. There's a reason that they're the top or number 1 or 2 in KenPom defensively in the country right now. It's moments like this. Same situation, right? Dayton, they had to start their backup point guard in this game. They've had an injury at point guard. So this point guard was on the smaller end, right? Look at this trap. It's aggressive. They're not just both there kind of hanging out. They are pushing this kid to half court. Same situation, right? The guy in the far left corner, he'd be the farthest away. His defender comes up to the short roll, gets a hand on it, deflection, steal. So we'll watch that one more time. Trap on the ball. There's a roll guy. Okay, the guy is helping from the corner. He comes, gets a hand on that pass. Now, here's another situation where these last 2 possessions are a little bit more cookie cutter. The ball's in the middle of the floor. You have a balanced floor. So by a balanced floor, you have a guy kind of in the middle of the paint. You have a guy on each wing, right? There's not all the guys are not on one side, all not on the left side of the paint, for example. This clip gets a little different. Now, you have Holmes, who's probably Dayton's best player, right? he slips out of the trap. You'll see he slips to what's the naked side of the empty side. There's nobody else in that corner. So anybody else that has to take him, they're coming from pretty far away, right? So you'll see number 4, it looks like is his number. He's under the rim. He comes from all the way over, right? Just enough to where the ball handler is not comfortable throwing that pass. He sees him coming. That's a tougher cover for Houston, but still they're elite at what they do. He doesn't like it. He gets rid of the ball. Okay. Dayton's like, good thing we got the ball out of there. Reverse it. This is Houston's flow. They're in the offense that they've had a lot of success with. Now you get to a second ball screen trap. Same thing. They're leaving the guy in the corner is kind of the farthest away. He freezes for 1 second. Houston eats this up with a jump ball. They have physical defenders. They're athletic. They're tough. This is a priority for them in recruiting. Okay. Now, how can you defeat it? How can you beat it? We've showed clips of how Xavier may struggle. The way you can beat it is you get this short roll pass off, right? If you can get it out of your hands quick enough to where you can get the ball in the middle of the floor, you're in an advantageous situation. So now that he caught the ball, you'll see he's got 3 white jerseys above him, okay? And then below him, he's got 2 white jerseys, 2 red jerseys. So he's in a 3-on-2 for a half second. He gets rid of the ball, right? Wide open 3. I think if Houston were to see this, if Kelvin Sampson were watching clips with his guy, right, he's going to say, hey, listen, like that defender that's guarding the corner, you'll see he kind of stays home. So there's a guy right there, the charge circle for Houston, right? He doesn't come up. His job is probably to take that away. But again, it can be defeated at times. Like we've shown clips of where it looks pretty. It's a very hard defense to execute consistently. It takes a lot of effort. It takes guys who play extremely hard, and it does break down at times if you can handle the pressure.
What's the biggest key to beating? Is it just, I mean, obviously hitting the short roll as quickly as you can, getting the ball out of your hands if you're the guard so you don't get trapped. But is it just being really strong with the ball and then making good decisions if you can get it to that short roller?
Well, I think part of it's scheme. I think putting your players in good spots on the floor, I think is important as a coach to put these guys on sides of the floor where maybe they're not going to be trapped in a cookie cutter sense, where you have cutters available to make a play. And I think not hitting the short roll, it's important. I think it's the guy who short rolls. Do they make the right plays? And there's an old basketball saying it's 2 passes beats any sort of pressure defense. So we'll get to a clip that shows that next. That is going to be this one. So when I say 2 passes, right? One. Oh, it's not that one. It might be the next one. Let me see here, Rick. See my captions I typed. Oh yeah, this is the one, right? So, okay, they get it out of the trap right away, right? It's 1, and now that they're in a scramble situation, that second quick pass, it was the one I had up, I apologize. Getting the ability to play quickly on the second pass, oftentimes in a trapping defense, yeah, we've showed clips of them tipping the first pass or stripping the ball handler, but you put guys in situations on the perimeter where they're uncomfortable as decision makers, and you're not in the flow of your regular offense, and you make immature decisions as ball handlers. So yes, are the ball handlers going to have to take care of the ball? Absolutely. If they don't, it's going to be a long day. But everybody on the team has to be ready to kind of make quicker decisions, and it'll be interesting. Will Xavier stick with their regular flow offense? Will they spread out and just kind of prepare to short roll and play off of that short roll? That's a big decision that they're going to have to make. I don't know, Rick, of all the games I watched last year, I don't recall a team trapping them as heavily as Houston did. So I'm not sure we have an example to go back to. But I talked about putting guys in positions. Flow may or may not be a great spot to set ball screens because you may not be in a great position to short roll, right? Like if you think about Xavier's spacing, when they're rolling in the 2 big offense, there might be another big at the block. If you're rolling where there's another player, that might not be the ideal spacing to defeat a trap. So it's really all going to be about the spacing, where guys are out on the court, spacing Houston out as much as possible, making it hard for them to fly around and make those traps. Because it's a tough defense to face, no doubt. But there are ways to defeat it. And like even right here, right? Like here's a situation, these next couple clips, it's what teams did against them. You'll see this is another one where he's going to pop to the naked side, right? So here's the ball screen. Here's the trap, right? Holmes is going to pop to the 3 on the right corner. There's no one over there. So this guy under the rim, like, yes, that's his job to get there. That is not an easy play to make for a defender. This is a pretty clean shot, right? Is that Jetus? Like that could be, that could be a position where they take a guy like Jetus and put him in positions to where he's shooting pick and pop threes, and they could utilize that matchup to where his spacing is going to be a huge key. Now, just because they have a floor spacer, I'm not entirely sure that they'll switch they'll trap every screen, which we'll get to as well. But here's another one where they just slip it, right? So here's Holmes, number 15 in red for Dayton. He's about to come up and set the ball screen, or he's intending to, right? Or making it look like Houston defender thinks he's getting ready for his trap. Because, again, one of the biggest things Houston is going to have to coach, and they do with consistency, they want to disrupt the ball and make it life tough for the ball. They don't want him to see the open guy because the rest of the court is 3-on-4. Somebody's open. They don't want him to see him easily. So that Houston defender has to come up and be ready. He cannot be lagging behind. So what Dayton does, they just back cut it. They act like they're coming to the screen, back cut, take advantage of kind of like an eager – it's almost like somebody in football. It's like somebody coming up to blitz. You hit them with a screen pass, right? It's like you almost use their aggressiveness against them. There's a lot of ways to beat it. I'm sure Sean Miller knows a lot more ways than I do, right? These are just some of the things I've seen on film what other teams can use, or maybe coaching staffs that I've been around at different times. Here's another way to defeat it. So if you look in the paint, here's Houston. This is number 5, okay? He does a great job trapping ball screens. This is called a ram screen, okay? So in this situation, Towson, they're screening the guy that's going to set the ball screen. So he's screening number 5. He lays wood to him. It's a pretty good screen by Towson. So now this screen is home free up here. There is no trap. Why? Because he's all the way back down in the paint because he just got nailed by a screen. And this is pretty good dribble penetration by Towson. They miss it, but I included that clip. This is just one of the things that they can do. So it's like, Xavier's probably seen this clip, right? Sean Miller's probably seen this clip by now. That doesn't mean he's going to go, guys, we're going to ram every screen. We're good. Don't worry about it. There's multiple clips I showed earlier where teams try to use this, and number 5 just runs right around it. He runs around it like a traffic cone out there. So easier said than done. That's why, again, we talked about the post trap. Oh, well, why didn't Xavier put in the post trap? Well, guess what? Between Oakland and this game, you better bet they're working on going against a ball screen trap. And again, that's not a 5-minute segment in practice on today being Wednesday. They're not going to go over this for 5 minutes today and be good to go by the game on Friday. I mean, the game was Monday, right? Depending on the week, Xavier might have had Tuesday off. I don't know. They may or may not have. So you're dealing with 3 practices, right? You may be going to be on the floor 6 hours between all the time. Like, you're thinking about getting your shots up. That's always important. Are you putting in a post trap? Are you working against this regular trap? Okay, what are the things they didn't do well against Oakland? I think they may work on more zone offense. Now, Houston's probably not going to zone them, but I think zone offense, you'll see some increased set plays and different things that they're working on. So this is where coaching is tough, and we'll see kind of what they have in store going forward. Now, these clips are against Utah. Number 35, Carlson, for them, he's a monster. He's a very good player. He is a skilled big. He's probably more the type of player that Xavier has when you're talking like Jetus out there. So in these situations, you'll see Houston does not trap. So they have a defender on number 35, Carlson. He does not trap. He kind of stays back. You can see he's ultra worried about him because he's Utah's best player. He can shoot. He can post. He can drive. He's a very, very skilled player. One of the best players in the Pac-12 this year. And the number 25, the ball handler, he gets right down Main Street and makes a play. If this happens, Xavier's guards are going to have to be really good playmakers. Same situation. Carlson sets a ball screen here. It's not a trap. They're worried about they do not want him to be the playmaker. They do not want him to be the playmaker. So it ends up being a mid-range 2. We don't know exactly what they're going to do against Xavier. We don't know exactly how highly Sampson thinks of Xavier's personnel. So there could be, Xavier may spend the whole week on post-trap offense, and then they don't even ball screen traps, and then Houston may pull it off. That's when people talk about these chess matches with coaches and what are they going to do and what are they not going to do. This is certainly a big part of it. What are you dedicating your practice time towards? And then, frankly, is it going to be a big old waste of time? Like another football analogy, Rick, that like I think of things in football because I don't know it. So I try to think of ways that like the Wildcat. Why was the Wildcat so important? Coaches talk about they want to have something else for the defense to prepare for. So if a defensive coordinator is spending 30 minutes a day defending the Wildcat and they don't even run it, that's a win for the offense because that's less time they're focused on other things that they're going to do. That's exactly what these different defensive tactics can kind of lead to. And then the last thing to look for is the post trap. Xavier's been pretty good in the low post. Like Jetus has been really good against all competition. I think he's been impressive. He's had guards on him, bigs on him. He has scored the rock on the post, and he's been pretty dang good with it. Across the board, I think all four bigs. Maybe Lazar struggled the most, but they've looked to get the ball in quite a bit, and so I don't think they're just going to abandon it. Like that's part of what Xavier's done is duck in on the post and things like that. So I think they're going to be ready for this as well. But what Houston does is they trap the post. They trap it hard. You'll see that Dayton, right, they go into Holmes here. Holmes is like their best player. Like they're not going to not post their best player because that's what he does well. Houston flies in hard, okay? They end up getting a steal. Same situation, okay? This is Utah posting. Again, they fly a defender out right away, create a turnover. Here's another one. Holmes drives it. Okay, he ends up driving into a post. And you see there, Houston goes right into it. Now, a lot of teams will, they avoid post-ups against Houston. They're so good at post traps. You'll see teams try not to do it. But again, that's what you do really well. Are you gonna pull away from a big part of your offense going into a game because you're scared of it? But this is what Houston does. They work on this all the time. Kelvin Sampson is known for you talk about skill workouts in the offseason. He's known to be a guy to do rebounding drills in the summer or in fall skill workouts, right? Where one team is, getting 3-point shooting and ball handling and ball screen workup. He's doing rebounding early in the year. That's one of the things that he's known for. So it's like, you want to do what you do well. Houston obviously does what they do very well, which is be aggressive defensively. Again, we talked about they're one of the best defensive teams in the country according to the numbers. They're one of the best at creating steals. They didn't just put this in last week, right? This is who they are. They're also not what Xavier's doing. Hey, we're giving up mid-range twos. That's not what they do. That's not to say one is right, one is wrong. Like we've seen teams that have different styles win the national championship and go to the Final Four. Like Virginia is a pack line. They won a national championship, right? We've seen Houston be aggressive and get to the Final Four. So there's no one cookie cutter way to play. It's just doing what you do and being the best at what you do, I think is an important factor. And then the last clip I have for today, if they do post up, right, they're going to have to make quick scoring decisions. It's just like the ball screen trap. They're going to have to make a quick decision with poise and do it correctly. So this is Carlson, the really good player for Utah we were talking about. And watch him. Okay, that looks an awful lot like Xavier's offense right now. You're ducking in. You have another big right on the block. Okay, this has been Jetus a lot this season. Or Usman, you throw it in, and he goes right up. That trap's coming. He just shoots it. Like he knows. He absolutely knows that trap is coming. Maybe this is a tougher angle to trap from, right? Like logic may tell you that big's so close that it's hard. Maybe he traps and that ends up being a little dump down pass for a dunk. Maybe that's something Xavier is working on. We don't know. There's no, hey, they're ball screen trapping. This is the only way to beat it. There's a lot of philosophies out there. But overall, I'm definitely going to be interested to see, one, how much Houston does trap ball screens, how Xavier reacts. Will they run their normal offense? And then are they going to post it up as much? And when they do get in the post, what are their answers? Because, again, everything that we're watching today, Xavier staff has watched much more than you and I have today on today's edit. So it's really just going to be about the game plan and then the execution. So.
Yeah, so Houston is the #1 ranked team in the country by KenPom. They are 10th in offensive efficiency and 2nd in defensive efficiency. You just laid that out really well. What makes them so difficult to contend with on the defensive end? Trey, any parting thoughts here before we sign off from this video breakdown?
There's not. I will be in attendance on Friday. I'm excited just to watch a good game and just kind of, I love watching hoops. So just these kinds of things, right, they're interesting, and just appreciate you having me on and look forward to continue to follow the team along throughout the year. So
definitely. And if you missed it on last video breakdown, I did let everybody know, but I'll do it again here, that Trey is back in town. He's been down in Atlanta the last few years, but he is back in Cincinnati right now. And he is coaching individual skill workouts, lessons for all ages. So if you're interested in that, be sure to contact me on musketeerreport.com or find Trey on social media. I'll have his stuff linked on the Musketeer Report message board. So Trey, thank you once again for another great video breakdown, and all of the Xavier fans, enjoy the game on Friday night.